Peace and blessings, family. Sister Anjali, this is probably going to be uploaded the day after the terrible anniversary of 3/11/11, which was the explosion of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. I understand there were 6 separate reactors, and all of them uh, blew up, though, in different levels. 4 of them had a complete core meltdown. And every single thing that I've studied over the past, this is now year 14, I have never read anything that said that they located the cores anywhere. They just simply melted out of the building, which is the first reports that I got from a former YouTuber called Nibiru. And I downloaded his video so I could have some documentation to that effect. And also from the reports I got from ENE News, thanks to wonderful step brother, I know about the Wayback Machine, so I can get certain articles, but other ones, I just don't have them collected like that. And I don't want to, draw this out too lengthy wise. I just want to give you the data. So I had so much fun putting that thumbnail together, and I thank Dr. Shi for assisting me with the photo of me and my brand new portable nuclear reactor. Now, for this anniversary of the destruction of the planet, I almost wasn't going to do a share about it, but as always, there are things that are happening that are just revving up so viciously that I had to say something about the level of their lies so that you may do some further research yourself and verify that I ain't lying to you about the obliterating nature of man-made radiation. So this that I just pasted it myself over it is an actual interview headline that was done by Fox Business, and the title of it, "Portable Nuclear Reactors Are Now Available for Your Home." To say something that definitive and your Fox News, you gotta know that people initially are going to take you seriously. And as a matter of fact, for clarification, I do not have a portable nuclear reactor. This is probably, a lot of folks recognize it. This is our humidifier. And I just was like, you know what? It looks pretty much like what they're peddling out there as what has already been given a type of approval. Now, I'm not going to go into all of the great details because that would make this like an hour-long share. And unfortunately, Black Us has one of the effective things about distractions is it takes away from our ability to concentrate and focus and hear the data. So I minimize the facts that I put in just so that you'll watch the entire share, even if it is 40 minutes long. I entreat you to do that because we need somebody like me who is I'm not only obsessed with beautiful Black you, I'm fascinated by the science of radiation so that I will study those details that will make most of us glaze over. And in that, I've read so many books that have assisted me so that I can't be fooled anymore, at least not so easily. And so that one of the principal methods of not being fooled is doing the research. And so I credit, even though there's a lot of white anti-nukers out there that I always give them salute in respect to, But don't believe them either, okay? Do the research. That's what I did. I don't just run and see, oh, look, it's the white people saying something. It must be true. Because they will have a weakness themselves for wanting to maintain face. In a lot of Asian societies, they have this phenomenon of saving face. It's universal, actually. And so white people primarily, and I thank Kevin Blanche for putting it out there in one of his shares. He said he talked to a nuclear scientist, or it was either that or a biologist, and she said, we know why this is happening, where all of these different creatures are just dropping dead. But do you know how much face, I'm paraphrasing what he said, but the world over would hate us? I'm like, if you destroy the whole planet, the Most High is going to hate you. I can't speak on behalf of the Most High, but I would say, since it's obvious they're lying and they know better, then you need to be saving face with him. The rest of the planet, we're going to do what we're going to do. I know I do not recommend violence of any nature. You guys, you're all into that genocide as some sort of solution, and it's not working out. It's not working out. And do not believe that the devil is going to have some little place for you after you die and you're going to be okay, because no, you're not. That's the nothingness. It's science. It's antimatter. That's where you're going, where you have no protection from the one and only, so you can remain in the existence that only he alone, ain't no plural in a cabinet meeting of gods that got together and created this incredible state of slowing light down so that it becomes rendered into physical matter that we can live within and experience what we never would in the nothingness. So much, I could go on with that one, but I won't. But I just want to forewarn anyone, because I've recommended certain, white anti-nuclears channels, and it's nice to see them, but they're sort of promoting people who I just know these are questionable characters at the very least, and probable operatives at my most concluding analysis of what they've said in their lives, like Chris Busby, who came out saying, no, but even though he started out good, at the end he's like, oh, Fukushima's so far away, we have more problems with radon. That is such hokum. And also, what was it? Fairwinds guy. I can't remember his name right now. Arnie Gunderson. Also, in my firm conclusion, a complete shill, only because he keeps talking about Fukushima as if it's just going to forever stay in Japan. And it doesn't impact it's impacted us tremendously. Joseph Mangano said that within 1 to 2 years after Fukushima blew up, there was an unexplained increase in cancerous deaths, I do believe, or just unexplained deaths, that of 30,000 people, and there were no other mitigating factors to explain why that many people died. And the rate of death, it's going to follow a logical trajectory. And so, respect to Joseph Mangano, I recommend his book about baby teeth that he wrote, where he was covering a experiment that they conducted where they found strontium-90 in children's teeth. That is called the bone seeker, causes horrendous leukemia. And that was one of the factors in stopping above ground nuclear testing. This proof is out here. Right? But so that's how I know when I heard Arnie Gunderson, I was like, why does he keeping it within just Japan? I said, uh-huh. And also the way he started his career is a little bit, for me, I don't know. I'm just saying, it's a suspect. And then also Helen Caldicott. Stop. Same thing where she's like, I'm going down to Australia if that, one of the reactors, reactor 4, contain MOX fuel, plutonium. And she says, if it explodes, I'm heading down to Australia. And I was just like, what the hell are you talking about, Helen? Ain't no fuel, according to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Ooh, I found it. I had to look for it a little bit, but there we go. This is a Freedom of Information Act copy of a document that was released by the Nuclear Regulatory Agency, and it is what it is. 100% of the total spent fuel was released to the atmosphere from Unit 4. All 96-hour dose projections, Alaska, Hawaii, West Coast, are well below the 1 rem total effective dose. That's just for 96 hours, okay? Based on predicted cesium-137 deposition. That's all they tested for. If it was out of Unit 4, it was MOX fuel, it was plutonium. Except for Alaska, all thyroid dose estimates are well below the EPA REM. Yeah, that's in 96 hours. The thyroid estimate is very conservative and does not consider the cesium-137 isn't known as far as my research covers for attacking the thyroid. The iodine, is it 131? That one will attack your thyroid. And the cesium-137 causes heart attacks because it's absorbed as potassium. And so these people, they'll obfuscate stuff. And this is very interesting. Down here, for example, there was more cesium in that Unit 4 fuel pool than in all 800 nuclear bombs exploded above ground. And this says zero hedge. That's very interesting. I'm just saying, this is a document it's an official document. And so when Helen Caldicott says that, I'm going down to Australia got pounded by the Fukushima through the jet streams and also through the ocean currents, the mangroves are dying away steadily. There's all sorts of things that happen in Australia before they even started happening on the West Coast and in other regions that receive a lot of rainwater. Radiation is attracted towards water, like Florida with the algae blooms. Yeah, Helen, maybe there's another Australia on the moon or something, and that's what she meant. All I'm saying is I cannot take such a person seriously. Okay, so I'm just going to roll through the data, and I hope I set it up in a way that makes some sort of logical, lineup of information. But all of this reminds me with the portable nuclear reactors of Gary Dahl, who was hanging out with some friends, and they were talking about how difficult it is to have pets. And it suddenly occurred to him, well, you know what? I could sell rocks and just, put them out there as if they're the best pet ever. They sit and listen to your worries. You don't have to take them out for a walk. All the, spew. And he came up with this box. It's the box that really just sold his products because he put air holes in it. And I understand this is copywritten so that nobody can just put a rock in a box and have some holes in it and call it Pet Rock. There are other companies that have rock pets, but they don't have this iconic box. This man made millions. I hesitate to say, back then when it was like the 70s and the 80s, I think, was when this was selling like hotcakes. People were buying it. It's not as if they didn't know it was rock. Of course they did. It's just it was a pretty good gag gift. And it's the rock itself is pretty tiny. The box is tiny, but it didn't matter. People are still buying this sucker for $30. It's $29.99. I went to look it up on Amazon, and there were 100 of them sold in the last month. I'm like, what? What? I should be selling my book Furnace of Affliction like that. Psh, easy peasy. No, I'm not. But that book will actually save your life. So I firmly conclude, and your families, rock won't do anything for you. But they're still selling it all over the world. And one of their best customers are South Koreans, right? Even the boy bands out there are peddling and pushing how they just love the pet rocks. You could put the little googly eyes on it and overwork South Koreans online with pet rocks, like talking to your dog. So I just want to put out there that what you probably already have run into yourself, there are folks who it's not that I understand the people who are buying this are not just, they're not dumb, but there's a certain wish to have magical thinking. It's not that you're capable of just, when you can really pretend what's not there, it's a little bit more intense than magical thinking. You're either a psychopath or so you're hallucinating. All right? But life ain't no crystal stair. It's difficult, and being a grown person doing the right thing, it is one heck of a responsibility. But if you stand up to your responsibility, it is unreachably satisfying to know that I really did that thing. I lived my life in a righteous way. It's incredible. And so for me, I went looking. After I watched Dana's share, I was like, what, really? SMRs, that's the big thing. I went looking just to verify, because as I said, I'm going to look for the data and the facts. It's already difficult enough to convince us that there are solutions, there are options, but in facing the overwhelming numbers of people who prefer magical thinking, who don't want the facts, they want the fantasy that's going to give them some feeling of ease. Oh, so wonderful talking to my pet rock. There's no, I watched this video, portable nuclear reactors are now available for your home. This is definitely irresponsible journalism on the part of Fox News. And this is the creator of what doesn't exist. There are no small modular reactors anywhere on Earth. All this guy has, he doesn't even have a patent. He has an agreement from the U.S. government that, okay, you could go ahead and design it. We give you permission to do that. Right? He has some drawings, but he doesn't have, nobody anywhere has an SMR. Even though they're purporting that, oh, this is going to really just save so much energy. It's going to, modernize our concept of where we get our, electricity from. And it's all a bunch of BS. This is a money grab that is being supported to some extent by the media, because at the end of this, the reporter, the interviewer, sort of says, well, do you have it built yet? And he's like, but our stock prices are going up wonderfully. It's a friggin' scam, right? Even at the end of this, even though this gives anybody who's just watching for 5 seconds the idea that these things are available, the idea that, oh, wow, this is great. And I'm telling you, we all have this concept that billionaires, millionaires are all brilliant. Not without a daggone planet there isn't, right? These guys are self-serving lunatics, megalomaniacs. And right now, they're taking over the unentitled snakes of America's government. And they're running it at all the people who are cheering. Oh, they got rid of more, people using Doja. They're firing everybody. For what? Those jobs are still going to have to be done, and they're going to be done by AI, which has no conscience, no chance of a conscience whatsoever. So they're getting rid of also, without saying anything, any future whistleblowers who will see, no, you're not supposed to treat humanity like a herd of cows. Oh, that's what they say with the jabberoonie dooney thing, herd immunity. What the hell does that mean? What does that mean? When you think about it, wait, this is going into my bloodstream? And if everybody else doesn't get it in their bloodstream, what's that got to do with me? Okay? And I would never, ever, ever, even though the jab is a fake out. It's a fake out so that we don't notice all the die-off began with Fukushima as an aberration. It was already happening before that because there's 400 nuclear reactors. They're closing up. There's lots of countries that know what the real deal is. But here in the unentitled Snakes of America, we have their desire to genocide black us. So that makes a big difference, and that's why they have to keep perpetuating all of the nonsense so that folks will keep believing that nuclear is clean energy. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to mention a name because I saw it on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but Dr. She is, and he showed me for 5 seconds. I was looking at this thumbnail of one of these, black guru guy wears, the fez with the stars and all the rest of it. And he talks about absolutely nothing in a very metaphysical way, all about black empowerment. And when you go to his website, it's obvious the guy is for sale. And so in that clean energy, they had nuclear down there. But when I did further research, I couldn't find anything but, windmill, those giant propeller blade type of thing. And they're trying to promote that in the black community. As soon as I see them pushing, I couldn't find that thumbnail again with the nuclear in it. But it made me think of Biden's, Raymond Levine guy, the one who likes to run around in women's clothes. He suddenly said, oh, we've got, seems the black community is interested in the environment. We've got to go, start giving money to those communities so that they could tell the truth about what's going on our planet. Stop. Right? Including climate change, which is because of the carbon all over the place. Now they're going to put that little thing down at the bottom that says climate change is, when I'm saying that there is such a thing as climate change, but not for the reasons that they need everybody to believe. Right? Not for the reasons why they hired Greta Thunberg's father to promote her all over the place as, carbon and all the rest of this. And no, that's not the reason. This is the reason. All right? This is the International Atomic Energy Agency. And I theorize the reason why this is still available because they would look extra guilty if they showcase this. Radiation is hot. It's hot. And it's in all of our oceans, okay? It doesn't stay in one place. And if you note right up here, you can't see Japan underneath all of the tests, but they 32,224 tests just off of there, all right? And why is the Pacific so heavily concentrated with nuclear? And then on over here, right? This is why. Because this is a projection map for just a month. Just a month. And they only studied 3 isotopes: iodine 131, cesium 137, and I forget the other one that they study. But that was the United States that you used to be able to see. And the red stuff here, that's the hottest levels of radiation. That's why when I hear anybody saying about, oh, but it's all the way over there in Japan, I'm like, shut the hell up. You are not in harmony with the facts. And so this stuff is super hot. How in the world? Any cars driving through the Pacific Ocean, right? That they're leaving fuel emissions all over up in the Arctic? I don't think there's any cars driving up there. I know Trump wants Greenland, but I'm just saying, all right? There's so many tests up in here that it's just like, it's just, I don't know what the heck is going on up here, all right? But this is what's heating up our planet. And so when I first heard about this portable at-home nuclear reactor, I didn't talk about it because I thought that they were making a big joke. This is meet the Enron egg, an at-home nuclear reactor that's totally fake. Totally fake. This was in January 7, 2025. And this report was released just 1 month later. You can't be built, not, remember, this is my humidifier, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. I just had to put it in a way to hopefully get people to pay attention because they so heavily shadow ban someone who's not the violent one. Then they get up on Fox News and get all kinds of investments so that they're multimillionaires. It reminds me of Elizabeth Holmes, who it turns out is the daughter of a friggin' military general. This is an assault that they're waging on us. The whole world is suffering the repercussions because when you kill a daggone ocean, it's not just going to affect a couple of black people over in the United States. It affects the whole world. It affects our oxygen. And so this is the proposed schematics that the dude has a drawing or whatever for SMR. And I'm not, it's just not going to work. You cannot change the science of radiation. This little containment, that structure around it, it would be too tiny to handle the forces of nuclear fissioning. The waves that would be coming out, it comes out of a giant nuclear reactor. It would definitively come out of something that would be so thin that you could just fabricate them in a factory and just set them up anywhere, especially if you're talking about putting it in someone's home. People would not have the acumen to deal. First, they'd be dead, all right? But they would not have the acumen to deal with what you have to do, where you have the rods up here and you have to lower them into the flow mixing header so that they can meet up with the other rods, and then there's pressurized water inside. I ain't getting into all of it, even though I studied it so I understand it. It also reminds me of the Matt Damon movie, The Martian, where he's stranded on Mars. They ain't going to Mars. And he had a portable nuclear reactor so he could have energy forever, clean energy, that would just kill him. It would have incinerated him. It's not possible. And it's in this little, I don't know if this is actually what was supposed to be it, but I think that's what it was. And he was moving it to his rover. There's no way the dynamics, the physics of radiation and its decay, its wavelength, its particles cannot be in something that then, and he's got your gonads are there, dude, right? I was like, even back then, I knew enough to know that this was them just gaslighting the world with nuclear lies. And one of the questions I had was, well, what makes nuclear submarines work? Because isn't that the concept that, these things are supposed to keep the water, the pressurized water circulating so much so that they can then only release tritium, which is devastating, right? Is hot water. That is one of the principal methods that is changing the temperature of our planet. But this thing is gigantic. It's gigantic. Here's the control room, crew's mess room. This is a full nuclear reactor that's on a submarine. It's not portable. This sucker ain't going to be underneath your arm, and you wouldn't have an arm if it was. And still, with the Navy personnel, my condolences for all those who were lost on the USS Ronald Reagan, who were ordered to stay right in the center of the explosion from Fukushima. I don't know if they're alive or dead. I'm not the violent one. I support real diversity. These dudes are scared to death, though, that we'll get our own separate independent voice and we'll talk about the truth because that's our nature. Okay? And so the Navy personnel serving in nuclear-powered ships, they have among the highest cancer rates, right? And so when they start talking about this crap, the future of advanced nuclear energy, it's just more of their lies. More of their lies. Because there is none. Even they base it on, they'll say, oh no, there is an SMR out there. No, there's not. So EDF's Neward U-turn shows risk of betting on SMRs, analysts. How difficult is it to research this stuff? But more people, or most people, not more people, most people are really, really busy, especially bloodsuckers of the poor, millionaires, billionaires, all of them like that. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Allah knows, right? And it's easier for a camel to get through the eye of the needle than it is for a rich man to get into the kingdom of heaven. Heaven is right here where we're standing, okay? But yeah, this sucker, they ditched it. They ditched the design of a newer small nuclear reactor and modular reactor. They don't want to even put the word nuclear up in there. But I'm saying when people say things like, oh no, there's one out there as that, they'll twist the words. They'll twist the words. I read about that in Behind the Fog. Another one of those books that I just, whoa, this is a scathingly amazing book. All the way up to where she does a very white woman thing at the end where she tries to explain away friggin' genocidal psychopaths and their behavior. Right? I'm just saying the data is just, whoa. These people, of course, they haven't said a single truthful word in the media about the devastation that radiation causes. But quickly, one more time, I'm just going to tell you, Fukushima was an aberration so that you could see the trajectory and you can understand the devastation. If they had never blown that off, the other nuclear reactors would have taken out life on the planet anyway. It's just that it was going too slow for their diabolical plans. I mean, the crabs, they had the nerve to say they were missing. No, that's extinction. That is really, it is genocide because it's a different genus of species altogether, but they're gone. And where they gone? In Alaska, where, you saw the projection map. And this one, unprecedented number of 6 stranded sea lions being found on Los Angeles beaches. And salute to the passing of this young lady. Natalie Black was a sophomore track and field standout. And like so many, she had a heart attack, right? She just collapsed. They didn't say whether she had a heart attack or not, but she collapsed and died. And this is happening to too many of us. This is, Parent Heart Watch. It's not that, it's like this oppression marathon where folks want to say, no, but you have to be the most abused, the most, impacted by discrimination and racism there is. No, that's not what a strong nation does to protect its people. It doesn't allow attackers to come on in, steal everything, and then the attackers are going to turn around and say, oh yeah, we did you bad. We really did. Oh man. No, you protect yourself. I don't care if none of us get attacked or assaulted by a single white person, and every white person overnight turns into a nice, wonderful person. I wish that were the case. Right? It's that even if they harm one of us, that's when you shore up your borders. And so coming on over here to Parent Heart Watch, to have 3 of our children gone like that, and these dudes keep up with their, the mystery, we don't know what's happening. Global cancer phenomenon. It's not just America. And they put it in terms to fool you. But as I said, the radiation, the nuclear power plants, that's when all this stuff started popping off, right? You could also read the Radium Girls, where what they did to them, they ain't give a damn about them, all right? So these are the places that got slaughtered, hammered by radiation. South Africa is the only place in Africa with its own nuclear power plant, and I think they run that sucker really, really badly, because there are deaths, not just of the people, but of animals and the sharks that, once again, they have no explanation. And, Australia, Helen, Australia's up in here, are among dozens of countries suffering mystery spikes of all kinds of tumors in young people. You just look at Chernobyl, you look at all the nuclear power plants, and you look at France and Germany, who's shutting theirs down. And you understand, it's the radiation. And so here, this article right here, they had a black woman up because, as I said, the radiation in the sea moss and in the radioactive rice and whatever, they're giving away canned salmon to women who are receiving benefits. This salmon is radioactive. And here they're trying to normalize what, as I said, if it's just one, if a child drops and they're having a heart attack, that demands an investigation, and only a strong nation can do that. We're a nation no matter what. We are a prisoner of war nation that they use to get their evil done. But their final goal, as Gunnar Myrdal had found when he was hired by the United States government to see, what do we do about these black people? And he wrote a book called The Negro Dilemma. They're like, yeah, white people would love to get rid of black people, but they have to do it in a way that won't make them feel too guilty. Because if they feel guilty, no white guilt, and then their motivation won't be the same. Oh, you mean we really are just genociders? Oh, no. I'm not saying every white person is like that. They wouldn't feel guilt if they didn't have a hope of being genuinely, fully human. But they were recruited, shanghaied over to the unentitled snakes of America, and thereby, I don't care if you owned slaves or you didn't own slaves. You are a full participant in the imbalance. Ignorance of the law of the one and only is no excuse. Right? So reparations ain't going to cut it, and I kind of figure sooner or later Trump might offer reparations in order to get our continuing blind faith in his plantation. We need our own nation land, and the land is not what makes a nation. It's the people. So it doesn't matter if we know we're from Africa, if we're from here, whatever. To build cities, you need people. People. That's the nation. And so this right here with the alarming rise of super fit, slim young people suffering heart attacks, that's the radiation. And they just offer different theories, but they never say a damn word about Fukushima. They never say a damn word about man-made radiation. When it's obvious where you should be looking if you're mildly intelligent and an investigator. That's what a scientist is supposed to be, an investigator. Right? But no, these guys do nothing of the sort, because you could be really fit, you could be really healthy, but you have to get the radiation out of your body, because otherwise it'll destroy you. Just like it's destroying the airplanes, it destroys matter. That also segues back to the nothingness, which is radiation is a just sort of power car vessel to the nothingness, because it obliterates all matter. So go on over to 25000yearcycle.org. I can't be up here like I was, because I'm writing my next novel, which is, it's extraordinary. I don't even like to talk about it because I just want to get it done. And it will be impactful because it is gripping. It's the truth, the full truth, all right? And it's us, Black us. So that's got to be done. I wasn't even expecting to do this share, but I was like, okay, it's 3/11/11. I should say something. And the young lady, she passed after the other two persons, young people I had talked about. And so I was like, all right, do your job. Do what you got to do for our people, all right? So you coming on over to 25,000 Year Cycle and assisting me, and Dr. She to be here for you. Here's the Let's Chat button. You could click on that and have a conversation with Dr. She to delve into the source and the solutions for any ailment you may have, including just staying healthy. And you can come on up here to Ajali Shabazz, where you're going to find all my products. When you scroll down, you're going to find all of Dr. She's products. It's all our products, because I wouldn't be doing none of this without him. All right? And he's just, I always said, if you see me and he's there, go thank him first. Because when you see me, that's his mind that just showed me you got to be a grown-up. You got to be mature about things, right? And I thank him for that, because I could be quite the knucklehead. I don't listen but so well sometimes. And so his products, and if you call, when you call, not if, when you call him, he's not going to be selling you the products. He's going to want to know, what are you eating? Okay? Or what are you living? And a lot of times you might not need anything. You just might need a good, solid encouragement. All right? So that's, woo, I hope this is well under an hour. Mwah! Straight Black family pride. And we own forever. Love you. Peace and blessings.